lose yourself in a good book. The Board Gosh Energy Book Club.
Now, being a teenager, it can be a tricky time in anybody's life. And in Shine, a girl's guide to thriving, not just surviving in real life, authors Mary Doherty and Siobhan Hackett have mined their experience as teachers and counsellors, and with feedback from their students, past and present, have decided to write a book, this is it, to tell teenage girls that they don't need to be the best at everything. They just need to be the best at being themselves. Mary Doherty joins us now, along with student Katie Norman. You're both very welcome, guys.
Thanks.
Mary, going to come to you first, because we were just having a really interesting conversation there during the break, and I was saying that I think, compared to Katie, who's 18 now and just got her Leaving Cert results and got her first offer, well done, when we were in school, it was a very simple life. There was no social media, no mobile phones, no fake tan, no eyelash extensions. It was just, you went to school and your mates were your world, and that was it. And Katie was saying, we'll come to that later, now it's unrelenting. When you go home, you can't leave any worries that you had in school behind you, because social media follows you home. So girls and guys are under huge pressure nowadays.
Absolutely. I mean, what we were saying back in the 80s and the 90s, the students often say to me, how did you cope without a phone, miss? How did you do it? And I actually say, you know, it was much easier. Sorry, but it was. If you decided to go out, you met your friends, you agreed to meet up, and there was no pressure. And when you went home, you had space. They don't have that anymore. And they have a kind of a love-hate relationship with their phones, I think, as well. They love being connected, but at the same time, they know that they need that space and they're not getting it.
One of the things that you deal with in the book is body image, which I think is particularly relevant for young girls, but and young guys as well. We're seeing anxiety when it comes to body image across the spectrum. And I was saying to you, the first time I heard somebody talking about having a diet was coming up to Deb season when I was 17. And I was like, a diet, what's that? That's how innocent it was and how much it's changed now. When, Katie, you talk about this as well, thin girls and overweight girls and anyone in between, everyone feels huge pressure to be a particular body shape and body image.
Absolutely. And I think the most important message in the book is that the person that you're supposed to like the most is yourself, you know, and try, if you can, just to focus on what you have within. There was a great quote that we came across from The Wizard of Oz that we wanted to put in the book, but it was just too late. It had gone to the printers, and it's right at the end. And Glinda the Good says to Dorothy, everything you have is within, my dear, you just had to learn it for yourself. That's the message of the book. If you could somehow stop, like, self-worth is not about how you look. We know that, but we have to keep telling the girls, I think.
And a lot of, and I have to say, the book, the way you've compiled the book is great. It's kind of like a magazine. It's
magazine
really, format. It is magazine format. There's like a chapter, Mean Girls. You know, it's really, really good, I have to say.
Our 6 years came up with that title, actually.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
That's interesting. Katie, I'm going to come to you now, because this book is meant for the likes of you. We've been sitting there going, oh, we had it so easy. It's much more difficult now. Would you agree? Is it hard being a teenage girl nowadays?
I think it is a bit harder, because you can't really get away from certain problems. Like, everyone deals with stuff at school and things like that. Like, it is difficult for everyone. But I think, like, in the past, it hasn't been as difficult, because you're not facing, like, Facebook, Snapchat, all the social medias. You can't really get away from it. It's there 24/7.
And have you experienced anxiety yourself? Because it's commonplace now, not just for teenagers, can we say, amongst adults, amongst everyone. Life is so frenetic and pressurised now that people are feeling anxiety an awful lot of the time. Easier to deal with, perhaps, when you're an adult. When you're a teenager, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, well, especially, like, I just did my Leaving Cert, and, oh my God, the pressures and the stress and everything. Like, you're not only facing it from, like, teachers and parents and everything, but, like, you're comparing yourself to other students, going, oh, well, she got that, why didn't I? And it can be really, really difficult. You should just do your best for yourself and not compare yourself to other people.
Would you find yourself doing that a lot, comparing? And it was interesting when I was reading the notes about your thoughts. You were saying it's not the Kim Kardashians and the Beyoncés that you're actually comparing yourself to. It's your peers, it's your classmates and other people in your social media world.
Yeah, because I think when you're out with your friends and stuff like that, people are looking at each other. They're not looking at you going, well, she's not Kim Kardashian. You know, they're looking at you and against your friends and saying, well, she's prettier, she's smarter, you know, that kind of way, rather than, oh, well, she's not a celebrity. You know, there is a big difference, like.
And Mary made an interesting point there, self-worth, and where our self-worth comes from. Do you think there is far too much emphasis put on image and appearance, that especially for girls, I think, an awful lot of your self-worth is derived from how you're expected to look and how society tells you you should look?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there is a lot of, like, pressure even on girls nowadays to look a certain way and to be able to fit in. They do what they can do, even though it might not be always what they think is the right thing to do. They do it because they want to fit in.
Have you ever found yourself doing something or saying something or behaving in a certain way that wasn't truly who you were, but just to feel like you were fitting in more?
Yeah, I think now kind of that I'm older, I've kind of found myself a bit more, but definitely when you're like 14, 15, 16, you do like wear certain clothes or have your hair a certain way that maybe your parents look at you and they go, you're going to like hate that you dress like that when you're older, and you are embarrassed about it. Like, but at the time you're going, oh, well, everyone else is wearing it, so I should as well. But you really should, like, you should stay true to yourself.
And one thing that you said, which I thought was interesting as well, is that you said that teenagers are more closed now that when it comes to talking about their emotional issues and other issues in their lives. I would have thought more open than ever before, because mental health is now an issue. We talk about suicide, we talk about sex, we talk about everything very openly now. But you actually think people are more closed now. Why is that?
I think in certain ways they are more closed. I think people feel like, okay, it's fair enough other people are dealing with it, but at the same time they think they're not dealing with it to my level. They think that their problems are kind of stupid, like, oh, I'm really stressed out about exams. Everyone else is too. There's no point in me talking about it. But that's not necessarily the case. They should still be able to say, look, I am finding it difficult. I do find it hard to study. But people say they can't open up about it because they think they're the only ones. They think their problems are like minor in comparison to other ones.
What did you think of the book?
I actually, if my friends heard me say that I was reading, they'd actually laugh so much because I'm terrible.
You're not a book girl.
Not at all.
She got an A1 in English, she told me last night.
Okay.
But I'm terrible at like reading and stuff like that. I just really don't like it at all. But my mom said to me, oh, you know, Katie, you're going on the show, you should read it or whatever. So I was like, oh, God. But I read it and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I think it's because it's not like heavy reading. It's kind of more so like a magazine, and there's like quotes and there's like stories from other teenagers that you can like relate to in it. So it's like really easily read. I actually would recommend it for anyone going through anything.
And what was the best message that you took out of it?
I think the like be your own best friend. You know, you can't make other people happy until you make yourself happy. And like it's often the people that make other people, that are constantly trying to make other people happy, are actually not happy in themselves. They feel like they don't want other people to be as upset as they are, so they try their hardest to make others happy. So I think, yeah, be your own best friend is definitely a big message in the book.
And Mary, you spoke to an awful lot of students to compile this book. What were your overwhelming concerns, yourself and Siobhan, when you were putting the book together? Were you surprised by anything, any of the feedback you got?
Well, my main concern starting off was I didn't want it to sound really preachy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been teaching teenagers long enough to know that you never tell a teenager what to do. You make suggestions, you know. So we do that throughout the book. We want to, I suppose it's like what we do in class. We kind of, myself and Siobhan, ask probing questions, try and get the girls to tease them out, and hopefully then they'll come to their own answers, you know. But no, we didn't want to lecture them at all. We just wanted to be, you know, as honest. It's very hands-on. It's very user-friendly. It's the kind of book that you would dip in and dip out of, and hopefully it'll make them feel better. That's my main aim, make girls feel better about themselves, because I think they're amazing. That
is a good aim. And I said that to you, well, congratulations, first of all, on your leaving cert and for getting your first choice. But I honestly think hats off to teenage girls and teenage boys, but especially teenage girls everywhere, because we had it way easier, way easier.
Yes, we did.
So you rock, teenage girls, wherever you are. And if you do want to rock and continue rocking, do read this book, Shine. Be yourself. You have the power to. Mary Doherty and Siobhan Hackett. It is a fab book, actually. If only this was around when I was a teenage girl. Probably do me some good now, actually. Do one for women. Never mind teenagers.
That's the next one, Sinead.
That's the next one. Good to hear. Thank you very much, Katie. Thank you very much. Now, if you fancy the chance of winning a Versus tablet and book club goodie bag, all you have to do is send us in your 50-word review of any of our book club picks this month. You can get them into us by Friday, the 28th of August to enter. You can email them to irelandam@tv3.ie, or you can post them to Bord Gáis Energy Book Club, TV3 Westgate Business Park, Ballymount, Dublin 24. We are going to take a quick break now, but lots more to come here on Ireland AM. We'll see you in a few.
Lose yourself in a good book. The Bord Gáis Energy Book Club.